Alright, this is going to be a quick 7-3 tutorial. Yeah, you already know this level has a bunch of moving platforms that will carry your momentum to the right if you stand on them, but it goes beyond that, so let's go ahead and start. I'll be using my run as the first example here. It uses pretty updated movement. This is not my most current PB because it does have a mistake there, but yeah. So you're going to start out with a fast excel. There's no real cue you can, there's no visual cue because of the fast excel. There's no visual cue you can do to land on here as early as possible. Obviously, you want to land earlier so that you run to the right more because it carries you to the right. Like, see, Mario is moving a lot faster there. But for this next section, if you spin jump, like, right after this flower, like here, then, and you glide after the spin jump, you'll be perfectly lined up to land as early as you can on this moving platform. So you're going to be moving to the right for a very long time. And then this next section, you're just going to run off this platform, by the way, to the next section. You're going to go underneath. And this is where I see a lot of new people, like, they don't fully understand what's going on here. Because at this moment, you can see, like, that I don't know if you could tell there, but after I drop down here, I'm preparing to do a glide into the ground. So what that means, like, this is something I call glide storage, is I start holding jump, like, right here. Like, you can see Mario's in the glide animation here, right? And so this is what I call glide storage, because right now, as I'm running around the running on the ground, I'm still holding my jump button, right? So that means that as soon as I like walk off here, I'm still holding my jump button. I'm gliding. Like, see, you can see Mario is still gliding onto this platform. So that means that Mario is going to run onto it like slightly later. Like, you might be thinking, wait, why do you want to land on the platform later? Isn't that like slower? Because you're not getting the full boost, because you could be landing to the farther to the left, right? If you didn't glide. But the reason is, and I'll pull up this IL by Niels. And now Niels, he gets a 353 here. This is the fastest 7-3 ever done. And he doesn't do a glide storage. He just walks off, right? He's on the very left side of the moving platform, so he gets the full boost. But you'll also see here, he does a crouch. Because if he fully ran, he would bonk into the, like, if he didn't do this crouch off the edge of the platform, he would have bonked into this gray platform here, right? And so that's why it's important for consistency reasons to just, like, see, I didn't have to, like, I'm still holding jump, by the way, like, this whole time that I'm running along here, I'm still holding glide, so that when I walk off, I'm still holding glide. And if I didn't do the glide storage here, I would have bonked into the wall, right? And so this perfectly lines me up for this updraft. You know, the crouch that Niels does makes it kind of inconsistent, because here, he does like a little drop down before his updraft because he's trying to get 353, right? So that's going to make things a little differently. Anyways, I just wanted to use that as a starting point because that's when things kind of get normalized. Yeah, he does the same glide storage here. He walks off the edge, and then he just does an updraft around here to land on the Koopa. And these are kind of the old strats. I use my run as a good starting point because that start is very easy and it's very replicatable and very consistent. But now moving on to the beginner strat I recommend for consistency is you updraft onto this Koopa, and then you hold jump, and then you're kind of like you're holding glide, but you updraft so soon that it doesn't really matter. And then this will line you up to land on this bullet bill where you can just do a small jump off and a glide. And then this is kind of a feel thing. There's no real like strategy to do this part quickly. After you glide onto this updraft onto this bullet bill, you can do this like with a visual cue every time, right? Then you just kind of hit left for a little bit and then hold right. It's just something you got to get used to. If you do it enough times, you'll get used to it. It's not like, this is kind of one of those things that you just get used to with time.
Will I get a blue ship?
Anyways, this section is just kind of self-explanatory. You can do spin jumps on these platforms, but it's not like it really helps. If you want to play safe for consistency, you wait till this bullet bill passes and you spin jump, and then glide after it's important that you glide after your spin jump. Here, you want to get as much of a boost as you can. You can do like a jump there if that's more consistent for you, or you could also crouch under it, which we'll get to later. And then finally, there's a stair jump. Now, I want to explain the visual cue that I use for this stair jump. You want to like do a spin jump, like from the fourth grass blob to like the left side of the fourth grass blob from the stairs, and that will line you up for a good stair jump most of the time. And the way that like you might think, wait, how do you tell with the fourth grass blob from the stairs? Like that's how do you tell? And literally, as soon as the stairs come on screen, I'm counting. Like at this moment, I'm already starting to count. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's literally what my head is doing. And then I stare at that grass blob until I reach the point, and then I spin jump. And then you gotta do a spin jump again. Now you could also spin jump later and do a turn back based on feel, but it's not really. That loses too much time to be worth it. It's more difficult in my opinion than just doing this hold right stair jump. So I wouldn't bother trying to do a stair jump with a turn back. But if this stair jump is like too difficult for you, that's fine. If you spin jump any point after the fourth blob, like if you just spin jump like the here, and you don't hold it, like you don't glide or anything, you just spin jump here, hold right, and bonk, you're still gonna go perfectly under this Koopa. I wish I had an example video to show you, but that is what happens. Is like if Asics just spin jumped later and held right, he would not have gotten hit by the Koopa and he would have gone under him. The same way with the stair jump, right? Like he would have just stood there for a little bit longer. And yeah. Anyways, these consistent strategies can get a 351, which is good for most people. You could do a couple optimizations. By the way, this strategy that Asics does here is what I'm going to call starless, because as you know, like currently we get a star block here, but you can actually get a 353 with Starless Strats. And I'm going to go over where that deviates here with, what is it, Niels's run? Yeah, he doesn't do the glide storage either. He just crouches off the edge because, you know, if he's trying to get a 353, all these frames matter, right? He's also going to do a drop down here. You know, it's kind of crazy. And then this is where the main, like, time save comes from 353 strats. You do like an updraft here. It's inconsistent, and then you instantly bounce off the bullet bill. And then the other thing he does here is he does a crouch jump. You know, it's insane stuff for Starless, right? Like even back then when like there weren't really any hard strats in NSMBU, but people, they still didn't go for this, right? Because it just wasn't worth it. But that's why we came up with star strategies. So yeah, a Starless run of 7-3 can get you a 353 if you do all these crazy things like the crouch jump and the bullet bill boost. Or you could just go for consistent 352s by grabbing the star, and that's what I do in my PB. And the way that you do this is like you bounce off the Koopa like we've been doing already, right? Like after you updraft onto the Koopa, what I do personally is I do a really small bounce, and then after I start descending, I start to glide. And then this leads me to glide around the corner. This is based on feel. Like this turnaround, you don't want to be too optimal with it, and I'll get to that later. Deeper explanation, but you just kind of want to do a turnaround into this section. You want to glide until you're relatively high speed, and you want to hit this the roulette block from the left. Like you want to hit it on the left side, because if you hit the block on the right side and you were really fast, then you could get the ice flower because you were too fast, right? Like you hit the ice flower is what comes before the star. If you hit the block on the right side, sometimes you might get the ice flower instead of the star because you were too fast and you hit it too early, right? So if you hit it later and you were fast, then you'll get the star and you'll be happy. And then after that, you do a tight wall kick instantly. This is kind of based on muscle memory. And then you jump off the roulette block. And then this is what I do personally. This isn't what a lot of people do, but if you want to look at it, you can. I'll show you some other strategies later. But what I do is I do a full jump off of this roulette block, and then I instantly hit jump updraft, like BZR instantly, like an instant tap transfer. And then that'll give me just enough height to clear, to like barely land on the bullet blaster. But I will show you some differing strategies for the star grab now. This is the way Asics does it. Okasan does it similar to me, but he does also things a little differently. So this is what Asics does, I'm assuming, at least I haven't talked to him about this personally, but I'm assuming that when he did the turnaround through this gap here, he was doing it too quickly, right? It's very easy to do this turnaround too quickly. Or not very easy, but if you do it enough, then you can consistently go too early with this turnaround, and it'll make it'll make the ice flower more like prominent. It'll be sometimes impossible to grab a star because you were too quick. So what he started doing, or what you could start doing instead, is doing a full jump off of this Koopa, and then like just doing a drop down turn back, because you're losing a lot of time this way. Like you're forcing yourself to lose time, so that even if you do this part optimally, which he does, you'll still get a star at a relatively fast pace, right? And then this is the other part where Aztecs deviates from my strategy, and this is also what Okasan does. I'm kind of an outlier in what I do here. Is after he grabs a star, he does a small jump, like a really tiny hop onto the edge of this platform, and he jumps to around this height, like slightly above the moving platform, and then that's when he updrafts. So instead of doing like a quick BZR like I do, like a quick jump updraft really quickly, he just does a small hop from the star block to the ground, and then does a big jump from the ground into the place where he needs to updraft from. So we're still up, like I still updrafted in the same spot he did. It's just that we got there in different positions, right? Like he did it with a jump from the mainland, I did it from a jump from the moving platform, right? So it was slightly different.
Yeah.
But they get the same result. So it's whatever you're comfortable with.
It was.
And after that, I do a pretty big turn back. You know, this is kind of the easy part of star strategy. And this is where the star saves all the time over Starless. Is you don't need to do a crouch jump, or like you don't have to, like in Aztecs' consistent strategy, he did like he spin jumped into the bullet, like he waited for the bullet bill to pass and then he spin jumped past it. But with Star, if you just do a turn back, like you need to do a turn back here. If you just spin jump, turn back, and then hold right again, you can just get a full boost over the bullet blaster with like no risk basically. This is why Star is so good in 7-3 for consistency, because you can always get through that bullet section, right? And then here, this is kind of the updated movement where you crouch underneath the second bullet bill, and then you just kind of run along all the platforms. And finally, stair jump. 352.